What is up, YouTube? Dots Gaming here, and today I'm bringing you guys the update for my best beginner gear sets for endgame guide for the Elder Scrolls Online. Now, I'm referring to these setups as beginner setups because they're very easy to acquire. These are obviously going to be CP 160 setups because that is gear cap. So what this video is trying to show you guys is once you first hit CP 160, really easy gear combinations that you can put together that are going to be very effective. Now, just because they're easy to get does not mean they lack power. These setups are going to be very potent and will perform in a lot of situations very, very well. And I will show you all different variations that will apply to all of the classes. Now, I'm going to break this down by role: Magicka DPS, Stamina DPS, Tank, and Healer, and I will put timestamps in the pinned comments below the video, but I'm not going to break it down by class. I'm going to break it down by spec, so it will be this video will be much shorter than the previous iteration of it. So this, again, really easy gear sets to acquire that are going to be very, very effective once you hit CP 160. We'll be using crafted gear and overlands gear only, paired with a monster set. So these will be very, very easy to get you started with effective setups. So we're starting with our monster set for our Magicka DPS. We have three options: Grothdar, Valken, Scoria, and Alambris. Grothdar gives you a line of max Magicka, and when you deal damage, you have a 10% chance to create lava pools that swirl around you, dealing 1800 flame damage to all enemies within 8 meters of you every second for 5 seconds, occurring every 10 seconds. We also have Valken Scoria, which adds a line of maximum health and gives you an 8% chance when you deal damage with a dot to summon a meteor that deals flame damage to the target, and then some more in an AoE. And then we also have Alambris, which gives a line of max Magicka, and when you deal flame or shock damage, you have a 10% chance to summon a meteor shower of that damage type that deals damage to all enemies in an AoE every second for 5 seconds. Now, Grothdar is going to be your go-to option when you are in melee range. So if you're, let's say, a Magicka Dragon Knight or you're a melee Magicka Templar, Grothdar is going to be your option. Alambris is going to be your choice mainly from Mag Sorc, because Mag Sorcs are going to have a mixture of lightning damage from their skills and fire from their Wall of Elements, as well as their staff. Like their staff light attack, so they're going to be able to proc both instances of Alambris at the same time. So that's where Alambris is going to see its most use. And then any other ranged class, such as Magicka Nightblade, etc., is going to be using Valken Scoria. Just because, you know, with all those dots up, you proc those meteors, get them to fall, and they'll deal a ton of damage. The main 5-piece for all of our setups is going to be the Law of Julianos set, which gives a line of spell critical, a line of max Magicka, another line of spell critical, and then adds 299 spell damage. I think it's 300 spell damage to your character. Julianos is an amazing set. The reason I recommend it so much to new players when they're first starting out is because Julianos is a great set for most people. Even patch to patch, Julianos sometimes is the top parsing set, sometimes it's not. But no matter what the patch, Julianos is a solid gear set to put on your character, and you won't be doing yourself a disservice by wearing it. It's never bad. It's always at the very least solid. So that is why I recommend it as the core of our beginner Magicka DPS setup. It's also a crafted set, which makes it very easy to acquire. Now, our weapons and our jewelry are going to be coming from our overlands options, and I have 4 different options that we can put on, varying based on our class as well as what abilities we're using. So the first option we have is 5 pieces of Necropotence, which is going to give you 3 lines of max Magicka, and then when you have a pet active, your max Magicka is increased by 3150. So pet build, this is going to be your gear set. This is going to perform extremely well if you use a pet. So if you do have a pet out, you're going to want to go for Necro. We also have Mother Sorrow, which gives a line of max Magicka and 4 lines of spell critical, with the 5th line being a massive boost to your spell critical. It's a really, really good option if you want to play a really crit heavy build, let's say on a Nightblade, or if you want to do like a petless Sorc or something. Mother Sorrow is going to be a really good option. Or you could also, like I said, Mother Sorrow would probably work maybe on a ranged Magplar. It's basically, it's your third gear set option if these other ones don't really apply to you. We also have Silks of the Sun, which is going to see most of its play on the Magicka Dragon Knight, which gives you 1 line of maximum health, a line of maximum Magicka, a line of spell damage, and then adds 400 spell damage to your flame damage abilities, which is basically everything in the DK's kit. So this will be a really, really good gear set for you to buff your damage. And then the final option that I have, because a lot of these gear sets can get a little bit pricey, if you really can't afford any of this stuff, or maybe Mother Sorrow doesn't appeal to you, you're a petless Sork, let's say, and Mother Sorrow is not really up your alley, another option you can do is wear 3 pieces of willpower on your jewelry, which will give you a big line of max Magicka and a big boost to your spell damage, as well as 2 pieces of endurance. So endurance would be your weapons, and by having endurance as your weapons, you would get a massive boost to your health. And that massive boost to your health would put you over like that minimum threshold of 16.5 to 17k that you generally want to have for your character. If you run any of these setups without the endurance on, you're going to need to make one of your big gear enchants a health enchant. And as you can see on my graph here, I do have enchants, so we're going to be running all divines, all max Magicka enchants, and 1 health enchant, unless you run the endurance setup. For your jewelry, all arcane trait, and then the enchants are going to kind of depend on what you feel, but I'd recommend at the very least 1 Magicka recovery, 1 spell damage, and then that third enchant can be either or depending on how you feel. Your staves, you're going to optimally look at fire staves. You can possibly do a back bar lightning, but I do recommend fire a lot, with the front bar infused, back bar sharpened, with a fire enchant on the front bar and a weapon and spell damage enchant on the back bar. Moving into Stamina DPS, we have one really solid setup. Stamina DPS doesn't really have as many variances as Magicka DPS do. Magicka DPS, the characters all do play a little bit differently, but Stamina does see a lot more common thread between the different classes. So there's one really good setup that will work well for them, but I do have a slight alteration to it if you for some reason can't afford some of the gear pieces. So in terms of our monster set, we have 2 pieces of Krog, which gives a line of physical penetration, and then when you deal damage, you have a 10% chance to spawn drug limbs that create shockwaves in front of you, dealing physical damage, and that can occur every 3 seconds. Or we could run 2-piece Selene, which gives a line of maximum stamina, and when you deal direct melee damage, you have a 15% chance to call on a primal spirit that mauls the closest enemy in front of you for 12k physical damage, and this can occur once every 4 seconds. Both monster sets are great options. I'll leave it really up to you to decide which one you want to run, but both are very good, and will serve you well on your character. Now, the main core of the build is Hunding's Rage, which, shocker, shocker, is the stamina equivalent to Julianos. A line of weapon critical, a line of max stamina, another line of weapon critical, and then a big boost to your weapon damage for your 5-piece bonus. The same logic applies to Hunding's Rage that apply to Julianos. Hunding's Rage is always a solid set to put on, regardless of how your build is for PvE or whatever you're doing. Hunding's Rage is just generally a very solid option that sometimes it may not be the best, but it's generally not ever the worst thing to put on. It's always at the very least a very solid option, so I do recommend Hunding's Rage for your main set on your character. And then our secondary 5-piece is going to be Spriggan's Thorns, which gives 2 lines of max stamina, a line of weapon damage, and then a massive boost to your penetration, physical penetration for your 5-piece. So for those of you who do not know, medium armored units in ESO do not get a boost to their penetration inside of their passives like Magicka does, so we do need to generally get our penetration from outside sources, and that is where Spriggan's comes in really handy. So it gives us a massive amount of penetration from our 5-piece bonus. Now, if you for some reason cannot afford Spriggan's, if it's a little bit out of your price range, another alternate combination that you could wear is you could wear 3 pieces of agility on your jewelry, and agility gives you a line of max stamina and a line of weapon damage, and then For your weapons, you could use endurance weapons. If you didn't watch the Magicka DPS section, I explained it, but I'll re-explain it here. Running endurance weapons will give you a big boost to your health and prevent you from needing to run a health enchant on your gear. Because you need to run at least generally one health enchant to make sure that you hit the minimum health requirement for content, which is usually like 16.5k to 17k health. Having that health enchant helps you get there, but if you run endurance, you don't need that health enchant. So this is just another option. If you can't afford Spriggans or don't want to run Spriggans, you could run the 3-piece agility and 2-piece endurance, and that would be another option. And then you could just run all stamina enchants on your gear. But in terms of the gear, we are running all stamina enchants with the 1 health enchant, of course, unless you run the endurance setup. All divine straight, all medium with 1 heavy piece. For Undaunted, generally don't need to go 5-1-1. We're just going to be going 6-1. For the Jeweler, we have Robust, and then we're going to be running 1 stamina recovery enchant, 1 weapon damage enchant, and then that 3rd enchant, really up to you. You can run another stamina recovery enchant, another weapon damage enchant, really based on how you feel while you're playing your character. In terms of our weapons, we're running 1 1H axe and 1 dagger. The axe will be sharpened in the main hand and will have infused dagger in the offhand with poison on the main hand and weapon and spell damage on the offhand. And then your back bar will be a sharpened bow enchanted with disease, or you could optimally use double dot poisons, but if you can't afford those or don't want to use them, disease would be your enchant of choice on your back bar. Moving into our tank setup, we have one really solid setup that's super easy to get, and it's actually very close to like a meta tank setup that you can run. It's super good and super easy to acquire. The monster set is going to be 2 pieces of blood spawn. Add 129 stamina recovery, and when you take damage, you have a 6% chance to generate 14 ultimate and increase your physical and spell resistance by 6450 for 6 seconds. It's just good in every way for a tank. It's got everything a tank could possibly need. Bloodspawn is going to be your go-to monster set when you're first starting out on your tank while you work towards getting Lord Warden. But Bloodspawn is a great start, or if you don't have IC, this is going to be your go-to monster set. It's just really, really good, and I definitely recommend it for your tank setup. Our main 5-piece is going to be 5 pieces of Torix Pact. Gives a line of spell damage, a line of maximum health, a line of spell resistance, and decreases your weapon enchantment cooldown, but increases the potency by 30%. So this is going to combine extremely well with the enchant that we run on our weapons, which is the Crusher enchant. We run infused weapons that make this 5-piece even more potent, and we have Crusher enchant on our weapons, which for those of you who do not know, reduces the resistances of our targets that we are attacking. So it basically helps enable a lot of group DPS. It's just a really, really good option to run. Eventually, you know, the goal will be to run Alkosh. I know some people still even like Torigs on their end game tanks, and it's a crafted set. Super easy to get. So that's what I recommend as the main 5-piece for your beginner tank setup. And then our other 5-piece is going to be Plague Doctor. Gives 2 lines of maximum health, a line of healing taken, and then a big boost to your health as your 5-piece bonus. Going to be super, super tanky with Plague Doctor around. We're going to have a lot of health, and it's going to be really, we're going to live for a very long time and be able to take on a lot of various bosses. You'll live for a long time. You will with Plague Doctor. You'll have a massive health pool. In terms of our gear weights, we are running obviously a 5-1-1 with the 5 being heavy. I would recommend all of your gear traits are sturdy, except for the big pieces would be infused. So you'd be running 3 infused and 4 sturdy. On all the sturdy pieces, you're going to want to run health enchants, but on the infused big pieces, optimally, you'd really want to run prismatics, but I understand prismatics are a little bit out of the price range for some people, so I figure the best way to compromise between not having that is make, you know, your chest Magicka enchanted, your legs stamina enchanted, and then your head health enchanted, so, you know, you're getting infused, like, each stat, like, each of your 3 different stats has at least 1 piece that is infused. I hope you guys can see the logic I am trying to go with that. So if you can't afford the prismatics, that's the way I'd recommend doing it. In terms of your rings traits, gonna be all healthy, running 2 shield play and 1 Magicka recovery. Your one-handed weapon doesn't really matter. just run a one-handed weapon infused with a crusher enchant. Your shield is going to be sturdy with a health enchant. And then your back bar weapon is going to be an infused lightning staff with a crusher enchant. Now, I know the lightning staff setup for some people, it's a little bit more of an advanced tanking style, and some people really don't like it or aren't used to it. So if you're uncomfortable running the lightning staff, feel free to run a second one-handed shield bar with the exact same setup and traits and everything as the front bar. You can do that and tank very, very well. But I do have the lightning staff on the written guide in case people do want to try a little bit more of the advanced method of tanking and learn that way from the beginning. But like I said, if you're not comfortable, use double one-handed shield. Finally, we have our healer setup, and the monster set I would recommend is 2 pieces of Night Flame, which has been seeing a lot more play recently from all the healers that I know, so definitely been a really solid set to use. There's a line of max Magicka, and then when you heal a friendly target, you have a 5% chance to summon a totem for 6 seconds that heals you and your allies within 5 meters every second, and this can occur every 6 seconds. So it just really outputs a lot of healing. Now that healers can run a monster set and Summerset, it's been seen in play by a lot of the healers I know. So it's a really, really solid set, really easy to get. Definitely would be my recommended for your healer monster set. In terms of our main 5-piece, I'm recommending Kagranak's Hope. Gives a line of max Magicka, a line of magic recovery, a line of max health, and then the 5-piece gives a lot of bonuses. Gives 222 spell damage and decreases the time it takes to resurrect an ally by 25%. And when that ally is successfully resurrected, you restore 1720 Magicka. Really solid set. Gives a lot of what a healer needs, and it's crafted. Can't really get much better than that. So that is what we're going to be running as our main body 5-piece. So it's a really solid set for healers. And then our jewelry is going to be willpower jewelry, which gives us a big line of max Magicka and then a big line of spell damage. Just, again, more stats that we need. And then finally, our weapons are going to be Torix packed, with Summerset counting 2-handed weapons as 2 item pieces. We now can wear 1 piece of a set and gain access to its 2-piece set bonus. So by using the Torix pack staves, we essentially give ourselves another line of spell damage on both the front and back bar. So that's why I chose to run those. In terms of our gear weights, we are running, again, 5-1-1, 5 light, 1 medium, 1 heavy, 3 infused pieces, and 4 divines. The infused will be your big pieces. If you cannot afford prismatic enchants for your big pieces, just run Magicka enchants on your pieces. You could also, I don't think you're going to need to run a health enchant anywhere because you do have that line of health through Kagranak's Hope, so you're pretty safe running, I think, all max Magicka on your gear. But if you do find yourself needing a health enchant, stick a health enchant on your head, chest, or legs. In terms of our rings and our necklace is going to be all arcane trait with Magicka recovery enchants. And then for our weapons, we're going to be seeing a restoration staff powered with weapon and spell damage enchant, and then a charged lightning staff with a shock enchant. So that is it, guys. That is all of our setups, the best beginner setups for endgame for the Elder Scrolls Online. I tried to really include very easy to acquire stuff that will perform very effectively. I know when you get to CP 160, especially as a new player, I remember being there. I remember how daunting it seemed to get geared and how much I'd need to do and how much I'd have to get just to get gear in order to be able to participate and do well with the rest of the people who've been playing so long. But guys, I promise you, with these best beginner setups, they'll be really easy to acquire. You will not take that long to get them. Not that much gold, and you guys will be out there hitting it with the best of them and doing tons of DPS, tanking it out, and healing your team to victory. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please slap a like on it. For more content like this and to see other great stream highlights here on the Dots Gaming YouTube channel, please hit that sub button as well as hit the little bell to make sure that you keep notifications on and to always know what I'm doing here on my YouTube channel. If you're interested in watching me live and asking questions in real time, please come stop by twitch.tv/dotsgaming. 3 days a week, my schedule can be seen on Twitch, but currently it is Monday Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 6:30 to 10 p.m. Eastern time. And then if you guys also have any questions, feel free to join our Discord server. Link is in the description below, and you can ask myself, mentors in our community, or just general community members for any help or advice, or just come and socialize, join our guilds, and just hang out. So I want to thank you guys for watching this video and checking it out today. I appreciate you if you made it all the way to the end, and I hope this content was good for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Dots Gaming, and I'll see you all in the next one.